In this video I'm going to be describing my difference between pro and non-pro lenses when I'm doing my reviews. Join me, roll titles. Well, hi YouTube, Brian James, a Micro Four Thirds guy, and you'll have seen a few videos from me over the time where I'm doing reviews on, say, budget lenses or pro level lenses. And I thought, from looking at some of your comments, because I do read your comments, you know, and if you do want to leave comments, please do leave them below. I really do appreciate them and read them. But a few people have sort of been coming onto some of the videos that I've done when I've been doing 5 favourite budget lenses, or my favourite budget lenses for events or portrait work or whatever. And I'll give them what I consider that to be my budget lenses. And I always get a few comments saying, "Oh, what about the or what about using the Olympus 12 to 40mm f2.8 Pro lens? It's fabulous. You've missed that one out." And that sort of defeats the object of budget. To me, a pro level lens is not a budget lens. It's not at the lower price point, and that's why I don't put them in. I don't dispute they are fantastic lenses. Again, when you're getting the 12 to 35 or the 35 to 100 f2.8 Lumix lenses, they're quite often suggested. But again, they are not budget lenses to me. If I'm going budget lenses, I'm usually going for the non-pro series primes. Usually the f1.7, f1.8 aperture limit on those, because they are the affordable end. Or if I'm talking zooms, it does tend to be more of the kit zoom lens, the 12 to 42, sorry, the 14 to 42s, or the 12 to 60 sort of lenses, usually which are sitting around f3.5 to f5.6, that sort of range. I did sort of get pulled as well by somebody when I did the thing on the event photography, and somebody said about the fact that the 12 to 200, which I was recommending, isn't a cheap lens. Well, the trouble is, budget isn't cheap. Lenses aren't cheap at all these days. In fact, no camera equipment is cheap anymore if you're going to buy good stuff. But there's nothing really in that range of price which will do any better. To get a super zoom from 12 to 200 for what, about £800 or £900 or whatever it is, I can't remember the exact price. I did say it in the video. It's still expensive, yes, but it's certainly not a pro level lens insofar as the image quality from it. You're still talking about a variable fully open aperture. You're still talking about something, I think it goes to about f6.3 at the 200, and it's 5.6 to 6.3, somewhere around about that when it's fully zoomed in. So it's certainly not in the pro level, but there's no other lens which comes close to it in that. The other one I tend to recommend is the 14 to 140 Lumix lens, which I have. There's a few in that sort of thing. None of those are cheap. They're all expensive bits of kit, but they're certainly not in the pro end, which is why I feel I can incorporate those into my budget lens reviews, but without necessarily going on to the pro level. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from on those ones. You'll also notice if I'm bringing primes in, you'll never see me bring an f1.4 or an f1.2 prime into a budget review. They're just so expensive, and they're so out of the reach of an awful lot of photographers. And a lot of people who have got into Micro Four Thirds, there are some real pros out there, and I doff my cap to those, because I see some people's work which are doing on Micro Four Thirds cameras, and they leave me for dead. They really do. So I don't claim to be the expert. Quite the opposite. I'm an enthusiastic amateur these days who was professional. But there's an awful lot that I don't know, an awful lot I can learn. So I do appreciate some of the comments coming back. But an awful lot of the viewers on this channel are enthusiastic amateurs, and some are just starting in the Micro Four Thirds path and have a very, very small budget. Some of you are at the more retired end, shall we say, and maybe have some more available cash. So although you may not have the technical skills, you can afford the good stuff. Well, it's a case of choosing the right video for what fits you. But my budget reviews are basically for those people who are at the more cost-conscious side of photography, and that includes me, because although I've had some really, really good pro gear in the past, I've chosen to get rid of a lot of it because this is more affordable what I use. And that's an important point as well. You don't have to have all the most expensive gear to be able to shoot the best shots. So quite often these days I've given up an awful lot of my pro gear because I just don't need it anymore. Especially when I came over from full frame to Micro Four Thirds, I didn't go and invest in the f1.2 primes because I just wasn't shooting those sort of things, or wasn't shooting them often enough to make a difference. And if I do want to shoot them more often, I can go and hire one. So that's hopefully explained what I'm meaning by budget rather than pro level insofar as the lenses. There are some things which fit in the middle. One of the ones I always think that fits in the middle of that category is the 75mm f1.8 Olympus lens. Yes, it's an f1.8, but at that focal length, it's typically anything particularly faster. It is a fantastic razor sharp lens. It's not small, it's not inexpensive either. And certainly in my book, that should probably have been almost in the pro range of lenses from Olympus. But it's certainly not a budget lens, which is why I rarely recommend it in the budget reviews, even though it is an f1.8 and the bottom of that focal length, if you like. So as I say, I hope this has been useful for you. Very short video, but hopefully explained a few things. This is Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy saying, oh, before I go, if you want to become a patron, these wonderful people are patrons of the channel. Thank you very much. There's a link below for the patrons, and also a link below if you want to leave me a super thanks or a PayPal donation to help keep the channel going. But until the next time, this is Brian James at Micro Four Thirds Guy saying, take your camera out, take it out regularly, and keep having fun with your photos. See ya. Bye-bye.